this is my Super Bowl attendee, at least at the moment, for the NFC. I believe this is a team that's going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. I believe this team is going to advance to the Super Bowl on June 30th, 2025. This is my Super Bowl representative for the NFC.
All About the Balls podcast
With Mark Davis, Kriska Meinhardt, Luke Rule, Jake Winnikine, Alan Tomasella, and Nick the Doc Skirkle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to All About the Balls podcast. This is the NFC West division breakdown. This is All About the Balls podcast. I think I just said that, but I'm Mark Davis, joined alongside 4 wonderful individuals: Kriska Meinhardt, Luke Rule, Alan Tomasella, and our NFC West pundit, our insider for this division, Jake Winnikine. Jake, I'll ask you first since you haven't been on in a little while. How have you been, and how excited are you to talk about your division, the NFC West?
Oh, yeah. Been all right. Busy, man. Life.
The beach
I'm ready
is
for
very
football.
busy. The beach is very busy.
I mean, I just started vacation today again, so I'm on vacation all week.
How many vacation days do you get? God damn.
8
owns the
weeks.
place.
I get 8 weeks,
a
but
year?
I save them all towards the end of the year. So I'll take one
8 weeks.
July.
Vacation
I'll
days are
take
8
one.
weeks.
Take one September, October, November, December.
If you get 56 days off a year.
Jesus.
Plus I get five sick days, and I get paid. Some PTO days.
Company car too. He's got it better than we do, guys.
He's trying to sell
Why-
McDonald's to us. And the
Hey, I'm about to get a job.
Yeah,
Hey, you're 5-6 days. Now we're at 61 days off.
Yeah.
but damn, Alan, I'll continue you, man. How are you doing as we are diving into the NFC West tonight?
I'm good. Chipped my pinky with a chainsaw yesterday, but it's fine. And I continued working after I cleaned it out, wrapped it up, and then I finished up my yard work. Other than that, I'm chilling, man. I got about 8 days left.
Damn, you should be able to hopefully enjoy this episode and the NFC South if you're in here. I think we're trying to do that next Tuesday. Chris, how are you doing, man? As we're going to dive into this spicy episode.
good. Like Jake, I'm about to go on vacation. So we leave
Yes.
tomorrow. About to go hit up the beach for a week. Be a fun time.
Hell yeah. Luke, how are you doing? Love the hoodie.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I gotta represent. They're gonna hook me up this weekend. Me and Wade are gonna go see the fireworks down on the rooftop.
Wade is coming.
Wade is coming. Yeah, he is coming. We got drunk and he booked his flight last weekend when I was in Florida. So I had a little vacation last weekend in Florida, and I got another one coming up. Going to Treasure Island here in about 2 weeks. So I'm about to have my beach vacation too.
Hell yeah. Doing good. Ear infection and potential shoulder surgery next this August coming up. So I'm going to be under
Out of commission,
knife.
jerking it.
It's a shoulder. It's actually the shoulder I don't use. So that's the bad thing.
Well,
the
hopefully
only-
mama can take care of
you
you.
the shoulder injury. Too much jerking.
Chill.
Hopefully
No,
mama can take care of you.
It'll be my first surgery in my life. That's outside
How
of
was-
wisdom teeth.
How was the concert? The Thomas Rhett concert?
It was a good one. Thomas Rhett, Tucker Wetmore.
Yeah.
Very, very good time. Tucker fucked up. Did say Charlotte on accident instead of Charleston, but he did apologize. It was an accident, unlike Jason Aldean. We did that a few years ago when I went to a concert. He purposely said, "What's up, Philly?" when we were in Camden, New Jersey. But no, the concert was great. Concert was a fun time. It was good to drink out there and listen to good country music.
Okay. I tried to pop on some country music the other day, and it wasn't really country. Like, I just don't know what's happening nowadays in country music.
Just depends on who you listen to.
Yeah, you gotta find the right people to listen to.
Talk to Luke after the show. He'll let you know.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's dive in. Let's
real country still out there.
let's dive into the best thing in this country, by the way, football. Let's talk the Miami Dolphins, Pittsburgh Steelers. What an interesting June 30th for these two teams. Jalen Ramsey gets traded, and then it comes out that it was for Micah Fitzpatrick, formerly a Dolphin. And then part two of the trade, Jonnu Smith gets traded to the Miami Dolphins for a 5th rounder, and they also send over a 7th rounder to the Steelers. So how do we feel about the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers trading?
I just want to start by saying that at first when I heard this, I was like, oh, wow, this is great. They're going to be getting, an addition to their defensive back team. This is great. And then the second part of the news came out, and it was like Minka Fitzpatrick is gone. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know who won this trade. And then it's Jonnu Smith to the Steelers. And the only thing that I will say is I feel like regardless of what anybody in Pittsburgh believes, everybody outside of Pittsburgh is looking at this like, what the fuck are they doing? Pittsburgh might believe that they're actually gonna compete for a Super Bowl.
They always think that.
These are all in moves. That's my opinion. These are all in moves, but I don't know if anybody outside of Pittsburgh believes that.
Do you guys think that Ramsey might, or even Darius Slay, they might go to safety? A lot of aging corners, they do move over to safety. Do we see that? Maybe that's what we see instead of having 3 corners at that position, because Joey Porter's not moving over. Do one of the 2 aging guys move over to that safety position?
Yeah, I think Ramsey does.
Okay.
And he was trying to move there with the Dolphins. He kept trying to move all over, and the Dolphins were getting upset. But to me, the whole trade, I mean, doesn't – yes, I mean, they were probably frustrated with Ramsey. I mean, they wanted, so they went for Mika, but they wanted to get rid of Ramsey, and they wanted to get a corner. They wanted to get rid of Jonnu because they wanted to get a tight end. I mean, the whole trade doesn't make sense. They trade Jonnu and instantly are working the phones trying to get a tight end.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, Jonnu's due for a deal, and then you mentioned Kyle Pitts. Like, well, Kyle Pitts is due for a deal soon.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, he's younger than Jonnu Smith. So I'm not saying
they offered Atlanta a 5th today for Pitts, and they said give us a 3rd. So they're still talking. But I mean, you instantly start going after tight end. Why just pay Smith? He was great last year.
And if Pitts has a good year, which you're hoping he does, if you trade for him, you're gonna have to pay him too. So it's the same thing. Very interesting, and it's crazy to see Fitzpatrick going back to Miami. He wanted out when he got traded last time.
Yeah, I really don't understand, like, from either team's point of view, making this trade. I think they would have been better off not making the trade at all.
Yeah,
like, you're gonna give up probably your second best defensive player and Mika Fitzpatrick for an aging Jalen Ramsey, who's
everybody's aging. Fitzpatrick's aging also.
Everybody's aging.
They're all
he's
aging.
not as aging.
He's not as aging. Chris.
As aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I mean, Ramsey's a diva too. I mean, the whole trade doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I have to shout out Colin Cowherd here. I mean, he kind of brought up a great point. You traded out a guy who was one of your better guys. He was one of your leaders in the locker room. He wasn't a diva. He was a no bullshit business guy, Minka Fitzpatrick, to bring in Jalen Ramsey, who, let's face it, has not been the same Ramsey since he was on the Rams. And at the end of the day is a diva. He wanted to play on a West Coast team. That's all we kept hearing. And now he's going to play in fucking Pittsburgh where it's cold. And I just don't understand the trade.
Sounds like DK. He's like, I want to be somewhere warm weather team. Well, I don't think Pittsburgh's pretty warm in fucking December and January.
Yeah. Both of them, yeah.
Well, DK, I mean, I don't know if he had to approve the trade, but I mean, I don't know. This seems like a Mike Tomlin potential. Maybe it might be his last year. Maybe he just says, "Hey, I'm done," and wants to move on after this year too. It could be Mike Tomlin going all in as well.
Yeah, I just think that Steelers in general are just going all in, and maybe that's what happens. This is that last hoorah. We're doing everything that you want, everything that you ask. We're bringing in guys. We're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, who's a diva. We're bringing in Jalen Ramsey, who's a diva. We're bringing in Jonnu Smith, which I have no faith in Arthur Smith to actually put together a system that's going to be able to capture 2 tight ends as focal points on a pass catching scheme. Yeah, you got DK Metcalf, but what do you have for running backs? You guys are high on Caleb. Well, not all of you, but most of you are high on Caleb Johnson. I'm not really sure what they're doing, and we're at the point where these just seem like all in moves, and I don't think that they're going to pan out.
Well, we'll see, guys. I mean, it's an interesting trade and definitely more intriguing stuff. Watch for Pittsburgh Steelers, Miami Dolphins. They are what they are, but obviously Pittsburgh's going to be the talk of the town. But that is the Miami Dolphins-Pittsburgh Steelers trade. Let's move on to the NFC West as we break down this division. On the screen, the San Francisco 49ers, you see what they did last year, 6-11. Doesn't paint the whole story, doesn't tell the whole story. Had a lot of injuries, probably tied for the most, maybe the second most injured players last year with the Lions. They didn't really acquire much in the offseason through the free agency. Yeah, they got Trey Brown and they got Bryce Huff, Demarcus Robinson. Not the biggest draft class, if you ask me, but you did bring in Alfred Collins, Mikael Williams. A lot of losses. Deebo Samuel, Aaron Banks. Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, Ward, Mason. A lot of guys lost guys. So the San Francisco 49ers 2025, how do we feel?
Let's let the NFC West guy go.
Jake, that'd be you. I think that's a call out for you.
Yeah. On that list of departures, no one on that list will be missed besides Travarius Ward. That would affect us at any.
Well, weren't you saying Banks was a big one before the show? You were saying how y'all didn't have Banks.
We were down Banks. He was a starter. We were down him.
Oh, so that injured guy didn't matter then. Okay.
Yeah, he was the best at the time that we had on the roster. Jordan Mason, we're not going to miss if McCaffrey's healthy. He wouldn't have played anyway. Greenlaw in and out. Leonard Floyd was a bust with us. Malik Collins, and then you got scapegoat Fat Boy Debo, who we're not going to miss his 500 yards.
Dang, Fat Boy.
Hey, he was putting work on the treadmill today.
I saw that.
They're pushing.
Jake, I don't know. I mean, did you pay Leonard Floyd to be the high sack guy? He had 8.5 sacks last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that's. I don't say that's a bust. I mean, I know Nick Bosa's your main guy, so is 8.5 sacks a bust season
for what we were paying him? He was supposed to be like this big shot.
So what? You want Bosa and him both to get 16 sacks each?
10 plus, absolutely.
1.5 off. I wouldn't say it's a bust. I think that's still a pretty good season for your second. Which is supposed to be your second pass rusher. Most teams don't get two guys over 10 sacks, so that means every second pass rusher is a bust. Then, I mean, I agree. Like a lot of these guys maybe weren't going to play that much this year. Jordan Mason, whatnot. Ward is a big loss. But your O-line sucks. But my problem is with the Niners. Your O-line, I don't trust. Your defense, a lot of names in and out this year. And I think Greenlaw and Hufanga, I know they had injury problems, but those are still key players, key vets that maybe if you keep one, that's still a good thing to have. Now you're trusting rookies. You're trusting guys that have aging or injured problems. Nick Bosa's been pretty banged up the last couple seasons too, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was fine last year. But, before that, yeah.
But I don't know how much I trust this defense. It's a very unknown. Robert Saleh being back, though, I like it. I like that.
I think that's the biggest name that came into this defense is Robert Saleh coming back, and I just don't know what bringing back a defensive coordinator is when it comes to the talent level.
What do you mean?
What I mean is bringing back a defensive coordinator or bringing in a good defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh. We all agree. Everybody on this panel will agree that Robert Saleh is a good defensive coordinator. He may not have been a great offense, might not have been a great head coach. He brought really great energy, but he wasn't a great head coach. But defensive coordinator, he was good. But I just don't know losing. And a lot of those guys maybe were injured, didn't really contribute as much, but you still lost a lot of big names on that defense, and now you're trusting in a lot of young guys to come out and be a dominant defense with this team, because you also lost on the offensive side. You're banking on a lot of injuries. You're banking on Trent Williams being healthy at 37. You're banking on CMC coming back, being older as a running back and being healthy, coming off of an injury. You're banking on Brandon Ayuk coming back off of an ACL, MCL injury, being a big time shot. And you're banking on George Kittle. Outside of that, who do you have? You brought in Demarcus Robinson. You still got Juwan Jennings, but you got Pearsall coming up. But again, we didn't see him fully because he got shot in the chest yesterday in San Francisco. That's a whole nother conversation for what San Francisco is. But at the end of the day, come on, what are you actually believing in? And so at this point, it's all on Brock Purdy's shoulders. And last year, you know what? Statistically, he played good. He played good. And you're still banking on him being the guy that's going to take you to that next level. And I just don't see that happening with this 49ers team that seems like it's on a soft reboot.
Yeah, I mean, I have concerns. I told Jake this before the show. I have concerns with the offense. I do. I mean, we don't know when Ayuk's going to be back fully ready to go. We don't know. Jennings, yes, he has his moments where he looks good. I mean, the Super Bowl, hell, he was one of the better players on the field when they played against the Chiefs. I'll give him that. But is he
was the MVP if we win.
Yeah, if you win, he was probably the MVP. But is he a solid number 1, number 2 option? We're going to see this year because obviously he stepped into that role last year, but now he's fully going to be the 1 or 2. Teams are going to key in on Jennings a lot heavily than they were when it was Debo and Brandon Ayuk together because he was the third. He was actually probably the 4th or 5th option when Ayuk and Samuel, Kittle, and CMC were on the field. It wasn't Jennings was the main focus. He was the 3rd receiver. So that's what I want to see. The offensive line, I'm telling you, Purdy might die this year. He might get hurt. He could be seriously hurt this year with his offensive line. I get it, Trent Williams being back to be big, but the right side I'm not a fan of at all whatsoever, and I just don't know if they're going to be healthy enough this year to keep Purdy on his feet. He might be running for his life.
Yeah, well, you haven't really figured out who your left guard is going to be. Trent Williams is all based off a projection of him being healthy, and yeah, he's a good left tackle when he's in, one of the best in the league, but he's 37 years old coming up, and he only played 7 games last year, and then on the other side, on the right side, like you just said, I mean, you got Dominic Puny and Colton Mikovits is your likely starters on that side. But again,
Puny was amazing last year.
Okay, and yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. He's a promising young player. He really is. But at the end of the day, you're still looking at holes at left guard, center, and right tackle where the team is maybe not even sure what they're doing at left guard. They're definitely looking for a long-term replacement at center. And on the right tackle side, you got a couple of options, but it's not something that's solidified down. So even if you're looking at Trent Williams as being that anchor on the offensive line at 37 coming off of injury, and Dominic Puny at right guard, the rest of your offensive line is going to have Purdy in fight or flight mode. And yeah, he's athletic, and yeah, he can make plays, and yeah, he can move. But what are the pass catchers? That's where another concern comes in for me, because I don't think that you guys made enough moves to really bring in somebody that can be that safeguard. We don't even know if Brandon Ayuk is even going to start the season. He may start on the pup. So you're gonna start the season with Jawan Jennings and Pearsall with George Kittle, and yeah. CMC, one of the greatest running backs. But at the end of the day, what are you getting out of CMC? Everything that we've heard is he's great. He's doing great. He looks at full speed. But what the hell are they supposed to say?
The thing though, Alan, is before Jake, I know he's going to push back. I think I'm not saying they're a great team, but I think they're better than so much more of their opponents that they are, because I don't think their schedule is that tough. That's the thing, is I think the Niners, they favor this year with a weak schedule. And I believe that what they have is better than what a lot of other teams are playing has. And I think that's what can make them a playoff team. Not number 1 in the NFC West. I'm not going to say that. But I can see them being number 2 in this division and being a 6 or 7 seed with maybe 10 wins, because their schedule is not the toughest this season.
I think at worst, Brandon Ayuk starts and misses the first 4 games. So what we got? Seattle, New Orleans, Cardinals, and Jaguars. I'm not worried without not having Ayuk. I mean, we're acting like we're about to go 0-4 or something to start the season if Ayuk's not there.
Better watch out for
like Mark said, this is a very, very, very easy schedule this year. It's a cake schedule. So I mean, if Ayuk misses 4 weeks, I don't think it's the end of the world.
And the Seahawks do, and the Niners do own the Seahawks historically, at least in the last decade and a half. Like that's been kind of it's been the Niners really for the most part, especially more recently too.
Well, I think that looking at their schedule, yeah, it looks like it's a pretty easy schedule. I would say more so in the second half of the season. And it really depends on how you evaluate the rest of the teams in the NFC West. Because, yeah, you could sit here and you could say, oh, the Seahawks are an easy game. The Cardinals are an easy game. You got the Jaguars. We don't know what they're really going to be. But you do have a pretty tough stretch in the middle of the season. And then on top of that, what are the Seahawks and the Cardinals going to actually be? I believe 1,000% that the Rams are going to win this division. The Rams are going to be the best team in this division. And I think that the Rams are going to be probably one of the better teams in the NFC as a whole. But if you look at the Seahawks, they've made a lot of adjustments. Yeah, it's going to be dependent on Sam Darnold and their offensive line. But at the end of the day, I think that
they can't stay healthy.
I think Mike McDonald is a really, really good defensive head coach, and their defense is almost top 10 last year, I believe. And I think that they've solidified that. The Cardinals have made a lot of really good moves this offseason. I really like what they built. They brought in Calais Campbell. They got Walter Nolan, and they brought in Will Johnson. They got him pretty much on a steal, I think. And I think that they can actually be a competitive team. So sitting here and saying that the 49ers have an easy schedule, yeah, everybody in the NFC West has an easy schedule. So if you're comparing that and saying, oh, what are these teams going to be? I think there's a lot of easy wins when it comes to the NFC West. And
well, I mean, the difference,
correct,
between,
but we're talking the Niners. We're talking the Niners schedule right now.
The difference, is also
we're talking if Ayuk doesn't. We're talking if Ayuk doesn't start the season, Niners are not in trouble with the first 4 games.
And the difference
is going 4-0. I don't know.
They have Kyle Shanahan too, which is a big difference compared to Mike McDonald and Jonathan Gannon too.
They start the first 2 weeks on the road. First game is at the Seahawks, and I don't know about that game. I don't know. I think the Seahawks can win that game at home. New Orleans, I don't know if you guys heard of Tyler Shutt,
but we don't have to go 4-0.
Tyler Shutt is a Falcon killer. Okay.
To be honest, well, guess what? They're not playing the Falcons in week 2. They're playing the Niners. So that statement has nothing to do with the Atlanta Falcons whatsoever.
Who was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they lost the Super Bowl? It was Mike Shanahan.
But guess what? Kyle Shanahan's a better coach than fucking Kellen Moore for the Saints. He's a better coach than Gannon from the Seahawks or the Cardinals and McDonald from the Seahawks. I trust Shanahan to get them going better than I trust those guys. Now, the only loss I see in there, Jake, I believe 3-1 is realistic. I do think the Jags might steal a game there. But that's just on a crazy game. It's going to be a good game. But still, 3-1 without Ayuk, you can manage after that. And outside that, yeah, you still have some tough games, but 10 wins is not off the table still.
I think we take a loss, but it's not Jaguars. We're not losing to the freaking
I think it's either week 1 or it's week 4. I don't think it's week 2 or 3.
I'll take week 1.
Or week 2.
Y'all forget about the 2-0 Saints. Y'all forget about them.
Yeah.
Derek Carr's not playing this year.
Watch out for them Saints, all right? No, but then after that, you've got at Rams, at Buccaneers, Falcons, at Texans. Like, even if you go 3-1, you're possibly coming out of week 7 at maybe even fucking 3-4, or possibly 4-3 or something like that. It's not going to be an amazing season right off the bat, and you're still going to be struggling with your offensive weapons. And that's if everybody continues to be healthy throughout the beginning of the season.
I think Ayuk misses 4 games tops.
But it still takes 4 to 6 weeks coming off of the ACL, MCL to even get into your rhythm. So he might come back after 4 games, but he's not going to be himself in the first couple of games that he comes back. I just don't see that happening. It's still statistically proven that it still takes time for you to come an MCL and an ACL tear like that. It takes time for you to get back into rhythm.
Well, over under is 10.5. Now that right there, Jake, I don't know how much confidence you have in your boys. That's 10. 10.5's a lot for a team with question marks. I mean, obviously, I know you're faithful. You trust Brock Purdy. Well, you like the team. My opinion is a team-friendly deal. Let's say that on the record. After saying what you said, reading the details of the contract, it was a good deal for both sides. It wasn't a bad deal for either side. But can Brock Purdy, like Allen has question marks, can he lead them over that 10.5 mark? Without the scapegoat.
Yeah, I think 10.5 is a little bit of a stretch for the Niners coming off. Like, you got a bunch of players coming off injury. You got a bunch of new players starting for their first time. So, I mean, it's a lot of players that haven't played together a lot. So, I think might have a little shaky period. I don't really trust the pass catchers outside of Kittle, really. I get Jennings he had some flashes last year, and Ayuk, I mean, like you said, probably going to miss 4 games. So, I mean, I have them. I think they'll be better than last year, especially if they stay healthy and CMC is what he usually is. I think they'll have a decent season, in the running for a wild card slot. Probably, I got them right at 9 or 10 wins overall. So I would be riding the under on this one.
So my thing is,
that's good season too.
Everyone's not trusting the pass catchers, but what besides Debo is different about the Niners pass catchers?
Well, I guess your pass catchers weren't that good, so maybe it's the same type of season then.
Okay, so we went to the Super Bowl with those pass catchers.
Well, you had Ayuk that was fully healthy. You had Debo who was actually playing decent. Like I'm not saying Debo was terrible.
He wasn't good that year.
But you also had a younger Kittle. You had a better offensive line, which that is the problem right there. Is your offensive line is a big for me. That's a big question mark. Is on the offensive side. My biggest question mark is the O-line more than anything else on the offense for this team.
Correct, yours, but everybody else keeps saying pass catchers.
No, I've also said offensive line, and I think that's a big question mark, and I think it's a question mark if Trent Williams can stay healthy at 37 years old coming off of an injury. Like I'm not really big on the offensive line. Yeah, you got Puny, and I'm not going to argue your point on Puny. Puny played phenomenal last year, and I think that he's on the rise. But outside of that, you got question marks at every other position, including Trent Williams because of his health. And what are you going to bring with the running game? What happens if another injury happens to CMC? What happens if another injury happens to your wide receiver core? What happens if George Kittle goes down? Because let's not pretend that George Kittle has always been healthy, because George Kittle has had his injuries too. And again, the 49ers play this game where you just don't have a lot of depth. You got a lot of guys, you're paying a lot of guys, and you're depending on the starters being there for the entire season. And when you don't have the starters there for the entire season, you go 6-11.
Now, I will say 10-7, they are a wild card team, and that's because of the schedule. That's the reason. I said it. Not a big fan of the team, but I believe they're better than a lot of the teams they play, which will get them in the playoffs, and they get in for the wild card round, and they're knocked out early. But they are a playoff team because of the soft schedule. They are one of the teams that has, like you said, second half of the schedule is not the hardest. They might go 3-5, whatever, 4-5, but then they go on a nice little run in the season, maybe add another loss or two there along the way, and they get on a nice little streak, and they get in at 10-7.
I'll give you, they got a pretty damn easy schedule after week 12. You got Panthers, Browns, Titans, Colts, all of those teams in there. You got the Bears. We still don't know what the Bears are going to be, and then you finish off the season with the Seahawks. I'll agree. The second half of the schedule is not that bad. It doesn't really start off entirely too hard if you're discounting what the NFC West is, but the middle of the season is a really tough stretch, because I do not think that the Bucs are going to be a bad team this year. I think the Bucs are going to be one of the better teams in the NFC. I do not think that the Rams are going to be a bad team this year. And you also got the Texans in there, which I think the Texans are going to be one of the better teams in the AFC. You got the Falcons in there too. I'm looking at this schedule. You've got to get past week 11 with a positive record, and then you can make a push for the playoffs. That's what I'm looking at.
Chris, over under? You said under?
Don't forget we have one of the most salary. We have one of the most money in salary cap also. I mean, Niners.
Which is all, and this all could change too, like you said before. If Keenan Allen comes along the way, or you get a receiver that can help you the first few weeks without Ayuk being there. So this is all dependent on $50
million also.
Yeah, this is all dependent on right now with what you have. So like this could change if Keenan Allen signs. Still a pretty solid vet. You never know what's going to happen there. So anything can happen in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we see trades. We just started off the show with the Steelers and the Dolphins making crazy trades. You could see something happening, and I'll agree with you. If something changes, if they add skilled players that will make an impact immediately, I think that will change the outcome of this. But right now, as it currently stands, I don't think that this team is going to win anywhere. I'm not going to say anywhere close to, but I don't think that they're pushing 10.5. I'm going to go under on that. I've got them around. I have them at 8.5. I think 8 to 9 wins is where their ceiling is currently.
Chris, did you say under?
Yeah, I'm going under. That 10.5 is just rough.
Well, any bets we want to make before the show, before this team, because this is the hot team. Any bets we want to make? I know, Jake, me and you have our dinner bet, double or nothing. That's on record. Falcons, Niners, Sunday Night Football. If I win, you owe me 2 dinners, but if you lose, or if I lose, we're back to even.
You owe him 2 dinners at McDonald's.
I take the McDonald's. I mean, Jake always hooks me up. So, but
snack wraps.
Oh
no! Ravens don't play the Niners, so nothing to bet
here. I'm not betting that. Ravens bent us over.
Yeah, the last time they played, it was a pretty bad game. That's when they were healthy too. That was when the Niners were healthy.
All right, I'll go right now. I'll say, Jake, right now, $100 bet. That's not too crazy. It's a pretty good number. It's not over the top, but $100 for under 10 wins.
And at 11 wins, I win.
Wait, over 10.
I said under 10. So if you guys get 10, you win.
Oh,
Ooh.
He's giving you 10 wins, Jake. He's
10.
giving you
I'm
under
game.
the
I'm
10.
game.
You game? All right.
All right. We got
That's
2
wild.
49ers bets this year. All right. Well, that's the San Francisco 49ers. Glad we got to get some money on the line there. Good luck to you, Alan. Good luck to you, Jake. That is the 49ers. Moving on to the team out there in the desert, the Arizona Cardinals, a team that went 8-9. And if you ask a lot of people, that's probably a good record for them. They had 4 wins the year 1 with Jonathan Gannon. Now 8 wins year 2 with Jonathan Gannon. They did a lot on the offseason, like Alan was talking about, on the defensive side. Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson. You got Walter Nolan and Will Johnson. I thought it was a steal if he's healthy. And Jordan Birch out there at Oregon as a pass rusher was pretty solid. So didn't lose much. I had a hard time finding guys to write down for him. I even had to throw the fucking kicker on there with Matt Prater, former UCF legend, right, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, good night.
Big time kicker out of UCF. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Arizona Cardinals.
He got the second longest field goal in NFL history.
Yep, behind the guy that is suspended for 10 games, Justin Tucker.
Yeah,
congrats for him.
Yeah, both them out of the league now.
Yep. But the Arizona Cardinals 2025 season, what are we thinking, boys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cardinals are. I think they're they'll be one of those like frisky teams, a little feisty. I think they'll play in a lot of close games this season, probably 1-score games, and I think they'll probably pull a couple wins out of their pocket. So I mean, I like the Cardinals this year. It's kind of hard to bet on them over like the 9-10 wins. It's just hard to see the Cardinals. Yeah, hard to see the Cardinals being good. I think they'll be in the running for it. I don't know if they make it.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on if Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray for an entire season. Like he's got to put a full season together. I think Chris mentioned it earlier today in one of the chats, or somebody did, that he's got to put a full season together. And I mean, because he's good. He's good when he's on the field. I mean, he's hard to tackle. Not the best passer, but they've invested heavily in the O line and D line. So I mean, they're trying to get this thing figured out.
I think it's a team that stays right where they're at, like around 7-8 wins. I mean,
exactly
I like the moves they made on the defensive side. Don't get me wrong; like it's nice to see them try. But the defense was the problem last year. It was a bottom tier defense in the league. The offense wasn't that bad, but you have keyword aging running back with James Conner, who is still solid every year. I mean, that's the crazy part. He's still playing very solid ball, but we don't know what we're going to get out of Trey Benson yet. We didn't get to see much of him. Marvin Harrison didn't have a bad rookie season, but he didn't live up to the hype of a rookie season like the guys like Brian Thomas Jr. had, Malik Neighbors, Lad McConkey. Those guys had a very outstanding rookie season. So can Marvin Harrison build on that? Obviously, they have arguably the top 3 tight end in the league with Trey McBride. So the offense to me isn't a problem. I don't trust Kyler Murray in the playoffs, but this is regular season talk. I think the Cardinals stay right around where they're at. 7-8 wins. It keeps Jonathan Gannon another year probably as a head coach after this season. But I just don't trust the Cardinals defense just yet.
Yeah, I got them right exactly where were at last year, 8-9. I don't think any less, any more. They're gonna have those games, like you said, where they win a couple that they probably shouldn't have, where Kyler Murray running around like Mighty Mouse. But no, they're not. I don't trust Kyler at all, and I honestly think this might even be the last year for him in Arizona.
It would be a hot trade name. There would be a team that would definitely bite on his contract, would bite on him as a quarterback for their team's future.
What you got, Chris?
I mean, Luke already hit it. Kyler Murray hasn't played a full season since 2021. I mean, we're going to see.
He didn't play a full season last year. Did he miss? He missed some games.
I think he missed the begining. Right? He was still recovering.
He missed part of 23. He missed like the first half of that season.
I'd have to check.
I think he was healthy all last year. I think he played 17 games.
I probably wish he didn't.
Yeah. But no, I mean Trey McBride and Kyler had the connection last year. We saw I mean, they did draft the trenches, O-line, D-line. So, I mean, there's really nothing to talk about this team.
Yeah,
I feel like they stayed the same. Alan put me on the spot here.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, going to year 3 with Gannon, so Kyler Murray we should see some improvement. But I mean, if we don't, I think replacement's getting drafted next year. But,
Yeah.
I mean, also
so-
I feel like there's no pressure for the Cardinals, so I feel like they're going to be playing free. Like no one has that.
Cardinals are. They're pretty much a team that's like forgotten about most of the time. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, they're playing.
There's
So-
no pressure.
So there's really a reason why I went and called you out there, because everybody else already had their go. And the reason why it was because it seems like it's about to be 1-4 on this show. And I'm gonna go. I think that the Cardinals make the playoffs. I think the Cardinals made enough changes to their defense to bring in enough talent to be able to make a big difference. This team was 6-3 at home last year. And if they just keep that and then win a couple more games on the road, I think that puts them in line to be the number 2 seed in this division and make the playoffs. And I'm looking at this team, and Trey McBride is a fucking dog.
Yeah, he's one of the best tight ends in the game.
I think he's the best tight end in the game. All right. And yeah, Brock Bowers is out there. You can say what you want. And yeah, it might be a toss-up, but I think Trey McBride is the best tight end in the game. All right. Marvin Harrison Jr. has put in work this offseason. We've seen it. Everybody just look at pictures from last year to this year. I think he's going to be a lot better this year. I think that connection with Kyler Murray is going to be there. Michael Wilson is always the guy that's a sleeper when it comes to fantasy football. He's got a couple of games where he just kind of goes off, and I think that they put that together. Yeah, you got James Conner and you got Trey McBride. What do you not Trey McBride? Trey Benson. What are you getting out of them? But I think that their investment in the offensive line and defensive line, that's how you build a team, especially in today's NFL. And I think that this is a team that is going to come out and they're going to surprise people this year. Their over-under is 8.5, and I'm doubling down on the over on that. And I think that they're going to at least 10. I'm going to say 10 wins. That's the number that I'm going to land on.
The thing is, I understand like they might have like you could say Marvin Harrison's going to be better than Ayuk, but I don't think the pass catchers and the weapons is like that much drastic, like, that much difference in the Niners, honestly. Harrison, okay, yeah, he's young, so he's probably going to improve. But outside him, the other 2 receivers, I don't trust. McBride is McBride, but Kittle's still pretty good. Like, I'm not going to say like McBride overshadows Kittle like to a whole degree. But when Christian's healthy, Christian is better than James Conner.
Conner's always hurt too.
Out of the 2 teams, CMC is the best player between the 2 teams. I'm not going to argue with that, but it also comes down to health. And he's older. Yes, James Conner's older, but what we know is that they manage James Conner. They don't just ball hog on him, and they don't just dump everything on him. And I think that at the end of the day, the offensive line and defensive line are less of a question mark for the Cardinals than it is for the 49ers. I do think that the Cardinals finished with a better record this year than the 49ers.
So it sounds like Allen's the only one over on the Cardinals. I'm definitely under. I just think 7 or 8. I don't. It's the same thing. They're trusting this young defense to see what they're going to do. Josh Sweat, can Josh Sweat be the man? And now in Philly, he had a very good core around him. So can he do that as being the number 1 guy on that defensive line? So that's yet to be seen too. Which that's going to be a very good thing to watch out of him this year. So I
think Nolan is a dog. So you brought him in. You got Calais Campbell, who's going to play spot minutes, and he's gonna really bring together that defensive line group. He's a consummate professional. He's a guy who can be a great leader on that team, and I think that that's going to be a big difference for that defensive line. And I'm all in on this Cardinals team this year. Like you guys said, nobody talks about them. They're kind of the forgotten child. And every other year, every couple of years, they have this crazy season out of nowhere. And I think that this is that year again for them.
All right.
They're the forgotten child for a reason.
They don't have very many fans.
Nice stadium, though.
It's a really nice.
You have a nice stadium,
but not a lot of fans, according to Luke Rule.
So you have 40. I guess we haven't got to Seattle yet, but you have.
Well, as of right now, he's got the Niners in last. Yeah, as of now, he's got the Niners in last place out of the 2 teams. Well, we haven't seen Seattle yet, but yeah, he's got him 3rd place out of the 3 we're going to talk about that we know.
So you got 3 people from the division making the playoffs.
2.
Fuck no.
So you got Seattle.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, I already talked about it in the NFC North, and I already talked about it. I think that the NFC is going to have 3 different teams from different divisions in the wild card spots.
Which I do too, but I have the Niners, I have the Cowboys, and I have the Falcons or Bucks. Both of them make it Don't know who wins the division yet. I think Washington takes a step back, but that is the Arizona Cardinals out there in the desert.
Shout out to Arizona though. I did go there this summer. I enjoyed it. It was a great spot, man. We went out to Scottsdale. We had a great time out there.
That explains it all.
What happens in Arizona stays in Arizona. All right.
Now
Sounds like you didn't go to Phoenix though.
Hey, well, Scottsdale's right there. What do you mean?
Nobody goes to Phoenix.
Nobody.
All right. Once again, that was the Arizona Cardinals. Moving on to the team from the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle Seahawks, a team that went 10-7 last year with Geno Smith at quarterback. He did miss one game, but Geno Smith is no longer there. Neither is DK Metcalf. Neither is Tyler Lockett. That's 3 big losses right there. You do lose Laken Tomlinson, another big name on the offensive line, offensive side in general. Trey Brown, we talked about that with the Niners, but here comes Sam Darnold. Here comes Jalen Milroe, possible from Alabama. DeMarcus Lawrence, Cooper Kupp, and I think a pretty good draft class with Gray Zabal, which means Chris called that, by the way, on draft night. Nick Amunawore and Elijah Aorio from Minnesota, the Miami Hurricanes. So the Seattle Seahawks, boys, how do we feel this year?
All right, I'm going to start this one off because this one is the one that I think deserves the least amount of time. Clint Kubiak coming in as the offensive coordinator, I think that's a good thing for them. I think Mike Macdonald is going to be great as a defensive head coach. I think that they've stayed similar. I think that they're going to be very competitive, but I don't think that this team is going to get close to their. I don't think that this team is going to go over on their wins. I think that their offensive line continues to be an issue. I think that they didn't really do as much to make it, adjustments to it, and they lost weapons. Cooper Kupp coming in, I think that he's, not as bad as everybody puts him out to be, but with Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba,
we're talking injury.
No fan.
We're talking injury problems, though. That guy's got injury problems.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't think that they're going to be that team. I think that the Seahawks finished 4th in the division.
Cool. So when we're talking Niners, you jerked off the Seahawks for Week 1 matchup. But then when we talk about Seahawks,
they win that one.
you say they're terrible.
I didn't say they're terrible. I didn't say they're going to be terrible. I don't think that they're going to hit their. I don't think they're going to hit their over and under. I don't think they're going to hit their over under. But I don't think that they're. But what was their over under?
8.5.
8.5. You could be 8 wins. I think that this division has enough talent on it. I think this is one of the slept-on divisions. I think it has enough talent, and I think that these teams are going to be competitive. And I think at home against the 49ers is a tough game for the 49ers on the road Week 1 when you don't have all of your players. You're still coming off of injury. You got guys that are brand new to starting. You got rookies and all that stuff. And I think that's a tough game to play in the first game of the season. Now, later in the season, they play Week 18. Do I think the Niners are going to win that game? I literally said that I think that the 49ers have a cake schedule at the end of the season. And that includes the Seahawks because I don't think that the Seahawks are going to be competitive later in the season. But I do think beginning of the season with a lot of the rookies that you guys got coming on the defensive side for the 49ers, I don't think that it's going to be as easy as a game as you're thinking. And so I think that they have enough talent on the offensive side to be competitive Week 1. I think that they have enough talent to be competitive in games, but I don't think that they're going to finish 3rd or 2nd in the division. And I'm not even considering them for 1st in the division. However, I still think that this is going to be a division that sees all teams win close to 8 games. And maybe the Seahawks come in at 7-10, but I still think that you see plenty of wins in this division from every team. And even though I'm saying that the Seahawks are going to be worse in the division, that doesn't mean that they're going to be 5 wins, 4 wins.
I don't trust the offense. I mean, Sam Darnold, we saw what he was with the Jets and the Panthers, wasn't the best. Didn't have a chance at the Niners, obviously. And when he goes to Minnesota, you got Kevin O'Connell. Well, I don't think, no offense to this Clint Kubiak fellow, he's not Kevin O'Connell. I don't see Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson playing football in Seattle this year. So I don't know if Sam Darnold, and I don't believe he's going to go over to the Seahawks and make a difference. Now, Alan, you did say Jalen Milroe might start games this year, and that's a highly possibility too. He could start some games this season. I don't trust Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith, Najigba. Get him in fantasy. He will get force-fed this year. He will be a fantasy monster, probably top 8 receiver in fantasy football this year. I like that. And this defense is becoming a sneaky top 10 defense. They were just outside last year. They add a lot of pieces this year. It's going to be good. But this offense is going to get Mike Macdonald possibly fired the next couple of years if they can't get together because They have the defense there for McDonald, but the offense is regressing, in my opinion. And I don't trust Jalen Milroe to even be the future if they even get to that part of this chapter book. So I don't believe this offense has any potential to lead this team over 8.5 wins. 7 wins, 8 wins, sure, but they're not getting to 9 wins.
And that's right around where I have
Darnold's not having anywhere close to a year as he had last year.
No. Like I said,
no, I don't agree with that. I mean, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. He's not going to have that same year that he had last year. It's not Kevin O'Connell making play calls, and they do not have the same pass catchers. They do not have the same skill players. However, I will say that I love Kenneth Walker III, and if he stays healthy, he's one of the best fantasy options that are out there.
Big if there too. Yeah, big if there too.
He's hurt a lot.
Absolutely. So far, all 3 of these teams we talked about got some injuries. That's why I think the Rams win the division too. Is they don't have any injury problems right now. But yeah, Kenneth Walker's a stud when he's out there. But that's the problem is he going to be out
every other week?
It's okay for a running back to miss 1 or 2 games a year, but you can't be missing 4 or 5 games. That's where it starts to draw the line with running back injuries, especially at the most inconvenient time too.
Yeah, but what we do know with Clint Kubiak coming in, he's around the 55 to 60 percentile when it comes to passing to running offense, or I should reverse that, running to passing offense. So you're going to see around 55% run calls. And I think that Zach Charbonnet has been serviceable. I think that he's had some pretty good games. But again, the biggest concern that I have is with this offensive line. Now, when I look at the rest of this division, I don't think that the 49ers have a huge advantage when it comes to defensive line against somebody else's offensive line. I don't think that. I think that I'll give you this. I'll give you the Seahawks O-line. When healthy, the tackles, by the way, they have some injury problems. They are a good offensive line, but they have some big issues on the tackle positions when it comes to staying healthy. Charles Cross, and I'm blanking on the other guy right now, they're very, very good when they're out there. The problem is they do miss games. And that's why I think that week 1 is not going to be an easy game. Everybody's going to be healthy week 1. But then later in the season, I do think that Jalen, well, obviously Brandon Ayuk is not, because he's probably going to start the season on the pup. I do think that, and Jake, just back me up. Not even back me up here, but just give me some insight. Is Brandon Ayuk going to start the season on the pup? Because that's the word that I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, he's not starting week 1.
Well, pup's 6 games, right? It's not 4. So
I think you can do half, can't you? Can you do like 3 games or 4 games or something?
I think they have that 4-game thing now, don't they?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he misses 4.
Well, the rest of you guys, over under on the Seahawks is 8.5. Jake's under.
Yeah, it's tough. I think they can get 8, right about 8 wins.
I think possibly
this
8.
year.
Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. Sam Darnold's not going to have to be a Superman. I know the offense is probably not going to be nearly as good. He's not going to be nearly as productive as he was last year, just because he doesn't have the same. He's learning a new offense. I don't think. Kubiak, great OC. Well, I think he's his first time being OC. This is baby Kubiak, right?
Wasn't he the OC for the Saints?
He was offensive.
He was the OC for the Saints.
Yeah.
Week 1 and 2. Yeah. They'll come out.
When the team was
they'll come out slinging. The team's healthy. He'll draw up some. I mean, Sam Darnold's serviceable. I don't think he's going to start the entire season. I think Jalen Milroe is going to get his shot, and I think that helps keep Mike McDonald off the hot seat a little bit too. Starting a rookie quarterback by near the midway through half at the end of the season, once they know they're not really in the hunt anymore. But I think they can get around 8 wins. So it's 8.5. So it's probably under for me.
Sam Darnold's going to try to do too much because he doesn't have Justin Jefferson. So it's going to be on him, and it's going to be ugly.
Chris?
Yeah, I see 7 to 8 wins. So I mean that 8.5 is rough.
Wow, we all agreed on a team finally. Everyone's under.
Trust Sam Darnold.
Yeah, when you have to trust him, we saw what happened. He lost his last 2 games. He lost the 1 seed and then got blown out in the wild card.
It's gonna be like watching the Steelers last year. That's what this offense is gonna be like. Defense is gonna keep them in the game, but offense ain't gonna get it done.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's the Seattle Seahawks, boys. 12th man. Moving on to the NFC West defending champions, the Los Angeles Rams went 10-7. They did win, blown out. Actually, they blew out Sam Darnold, who they're going to see twice this year in the wild card round. Then lost to the Eagles in the snow game by 6. And then, what an offseason they had. They bring in Devontae Adams to replace Cooper Kupp. They bring in Panu Ford. I know you lost some guys out there, Jonah Jackson and Joseph Noteboom, who, by the way, went to the Ravens. But you bring in Nate Lademan from Texas or Atlanta. You bring in Hunter as a third-string running back behind Corum and Kyron Williams. Chris Paul Jr., pretty solid linebacker. And Terrence Ferguson, Baby Ferg from Oregon. So, guys, the Los Angeles Rams, by the way, I'll start us off, actually. This is my Super Bowl attendee, at least at the moment, for the NFC. I believe this is a team that's going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. I believe this team is going to advance to the Super Bowl on June 30th, 2025. This is my Super Bowl representative for the NFC.
It's a bold pick.
It really is. I'm just high on this team, man. I think Stafford's going to throw his name in there finally for an MVP candidate chance right there. I think Adams is going to be so big for this team. Kyron Williams, it opens the door for him for even more possibilities that we've seen from him already. Kyron Williams might have a top 3 or 4 running back season because he's going to have a lot of open opportunities with a less crowded of a box because they have to go out there and guard Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and hopefully a 2 good tight end system with Tyler Higbee and Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most talented rosters that Sean McVay has. The offense really good, like you already hit, Mark. Defense, I mean, they definitely still have some holes in it. Kind of middle of the pack last year, but they did have the top 10 red zone. So, I mean, even though the opponent drove down there, I mean, they were good in the red zone. So, which is
bend but don't break.
Exactly. So, but no, I think they're definitely in a win now mode because I don't know how much longer Stafford has.
2 years. He's had a 2-year. He got a 2-year extension.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely we got to see him soon.
This is it. Yeah, this is it for potential McVay too. We don't know. I mean, obviously they keep teasing the announcing booth, but this is definitely two years is what they got to win one.
So I don't want to get too much into some of the later questions that we have going on here. That's a little bit of a teaser there. But what I will say is that I think that the Rams are the best team in this division. I think that they sweep the Niners. I think that they sweep probably the Seahawks. I think they split with the Cardinals. And then I'm seeing the rest of the schedule. They do have some tough games. They do have some, at the Eagles, but I think that the Eagles lost a lot on their, defensive backs. We talked about that before. And they've got at the Ravens. I think that's an L. I'm going to give that one. I think that's an L. But the rest of the schedule, I'm not really too concerned about. They got Lions coming to them, and I think that they can win that game. I think that that's a Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, putting that all together back again type of situation where we're going to see a lot of people talk about that. I agree that Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in this division. I think that the roster is one of the most talented that Sean McVay has had. And I just think that this team is going to run the table here in 2025. I'm not going to put them at the number 1 in the NFC because I do think that that's going to go to the Lions. But again, I think this is going to be a team that wins close to 12 wins.
Luke, anything?
Yeah. No, I like the team that they get the 2 young defensive linemen with Jared Verse, the 2 Florida State guys.
Absolutely.
They drafted who were huge hits for them their rookie season. So I expect them to build on that. They took them 2 guys to replace like Aaron Darnold, but it worked for them. I mean, what Verse got defensive rookie of the year, right?
He did.
Yeah.
And they brought Panu Ford in. He's pretty serviceable defensive tackle himself.
Yeah, so his D-line is going to be pretty good. I mean, it's young, but they'll be good. I think they'll just improve over what they did last year. Maybe the total defense will be a little bit better than last year was. Not super high on their secondary though. I mean that defensive line kind of makes up for it. The offense, it's stacked. I mean, we'll see what we get out of Devontae Adams this year on a new offense again. So I mean, I like Devontae Adams. He's a good 50-50 ball catcher, but I think Stafford's going to target him quite a bit.
Well, I think last year, we all knew that Devontae Adams was not going to finish the season with the Raiders. We knew he was going to get traded at some point. And this is a season where he's coming in and he's got the entire offseason to get used to this offense.
And him and Puka Nacua is arguably the best 1-2 wide receiving core
absolutely in
NFL. I mean, it's hard to find. If you do find someone, it's hard to find a couple of them over those guys. Devontae Adams is no slouch. I mean, he was still very highly productive with the Jets when he got traded over. And Puka Nacua, I mean, I know he gets banged up from time to time too, but if he does, okay, Devontae Adams can still carry the load for a couple weeks if he needs to. The wide receiver 3 position, that's going to be an interesting spot with Tutu Atwell and potentially Jordan Whittington, who had some flash moments when he had to step up last year when they had some injury problems. So wide receiver 3, that's going to be a position battle. But I think the 2 tight end system, they can get that going early with McVay. Very creative coach too. I mean, he comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree, technically. So he knows how to draw plays up himself. Over-under is 9.5, which I think is disrespectful.
I'm a little confused. I mean, yes, they got Devontae Adams, but what is making them go from 10-7 to Super Bowl? I just don't see it. I mean, it wasn't that massive of an offseason to all of a sudden be Super Bowl attendees.
Well, to be honest, if they would have somehow advanced, survived that snow game, which we all were saying, correct me if I'm wrong, we all said if it didn't snow, they were going to beat the Eagles based on how it was going. And I think they could have beat the Commanders. So, I mean, right then and there, if the snow doesn't happen and whatnot, I know it's a what-if scenario, but if that happens, they go to play the Commanders and they could beat them at home.
Yeah, and a big part of this is, they maybe didn't make too many big offseason, acquisitions when it comes to the defensive side, but it's a lot of young guys that played last year. They're not inserting a bunch of rookies. They're bringing in guys that played last year, had significant time last year, that are going to be better this year. I believe in Sean McVay. I believe in that GM. I believe in that team. I think that they've consistently been one of the better front offices in the league. And I think that this is a team that can grow off of the successes that they had last year. And so when you come up with what did they add, they necessarily didn't add too much, but what they are bringing to the table is improvement from what they brought in last year.
And I think the offense is just going to outscore most of their opponents. I think the offense is that special. I think they're that fantastic.
Kyron Williams is so slept on as a running back. I think that he's phenomenal. He's like last year, what did he have? Like almost like 10, 11, almost 12 games in a row of at least a touchdown and close to 100 yards. Like the guy is phenomenal, and I don't think that that's going to slow down.
Yeah, I just think the offense is going to carry.
Purdy was statistically better than Stafford in every single category last year with less talent. I'm just saying. Was
he?
Yards, completions. I mean, you name it. Touchdowns. I think they both had 19 and 20.
Well, let me look up Stafford. So Stafford had 20 and 8, 3,762. Your boy had 38 plus, 20 and 12. So same amount of touchdowns, less interceptions. Took care of the ball a lot better. I'll give him that one.
Team out. What is whole team out?
Cooper Kupp was in and out most of the year last year. So, yeah, Puka Nacua was there. I give him that. But that's the thing. But that goes back to what Alan's there. But that goes back to what Alan's saying, though, too, is you're banking on your guys all staying healthy while the Rams don't have injury concerns.
And your guys are all older guys. It's just banking on them having to be healthy at an older rate.
And with how loaded their weapons are, they can't stack the box against Kyron Williams. Your receivers are at the moment a little questionable, so they can stack the box against CMC at least early on in the season.
I would stack the box on Stafford.
If you stack the box on Stafford, you're going to leave a lot of one-on-one looks with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. Good luck guarding that.
Guarding that, because I would definitely take Devontae Adams in a one-on-one situation, and I'm taking 1,000% Puka Nacua in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, I can't back that one up. I believe that the Rams wide receiver core is going to force them to have to play off, and then it's a win-win for the Rams because if Kyron Williams gets going, then they're going to have to push the box against him, and then that leaves now like play action leaves the one-on-ones for your receivers, and hopefully Higbee's back healthy. But I think Ferguson's a good number 2 tight end to get going with McVay. I think McVay can insert him. So the over-under though, Jake's 9.5.
And let's not forget that Sean McVay owns Mike Shanahan. Shanahan. Fucking Kyle Shanahan, whatever his fucking name is.
I mean, and Puka's going to play how many games?
He can play 15, 16, doesn't matter. I mean,
it
hasn't been a problem for the Rams the last 2 years. Now you have Devontae Adams, a more reliable guy that can stay healthy. When Cooper Kupp was there, they had two receivers that
Puka's always hurt.
And now you have Devontae Adams that can fill in that spot if you need him to. Cooper Kupp couldn't because he was banged up the last 2 seasons himself.
Yeah, but when all you have is Devontae Adams.
Puka Nacua.
But you know that Sean McVay is going to draw up plays for other guys. He's going to get Tutu Atwell having a crazy game. He's going to get some of these other unknown wide receivers having games. And I just trust Sean McVay more than I trust Kyle Shanahan. And again,
well, Puka,
not even again. Sean McVay has gotten the job done, and Kyle Shanahan has consistently fallen short.
And with Adams, you don't have to put so much pressure on Nacua. Nacua was healthy his whole rookie season. He did miss 6 games last year. But now you have Adams to take the role off him a little bit. That gives him more of a breather and less chances of getting smacked around because you're the main guy with no Cooper Kupp. So it takes a lot of pressure off of your number one wide receiver.
Even last year, we were seeing Devontae Adams go up against 2 defenders, and he was catching passes. He was catching deep bombs and scoring touchdowns. Like, yeah, Devontae Adams is a little bit older, but he's still a fucking dog.
Niners are 7-3 versus the Rams in the last 5 years. He owns us.
Well, it's regular season. You guys got to throw the playoff game in there too.
He owns us.
He sure owns us, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good thing there's 17 games. You don't play each other all 17 games.
He said he owns the Niners.
He did say that.
The Niners.
Yeah, I did. And when it comes down to it, which you guys aren't even going to make the playoffs, the Rams, even if you do make the playoffs, you're not getting past the Rams because Sean McVay owns y'all.
7-4, by the way, because you got that doesn't count the playoff game. It counts just the regular season games. The Rams did beat you on this championship. Yeah, that was wrong. Record wise, Shanahan does own McVay, but I also trust McVay a lot more, especially which. By the way, that jumps into the first question. I mean, actually, over under real quick, guys. 9.5.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the over. I think they're at least a 10-win team.
I have over as well.
It blows my mind that the Niners had the highest over-under in this entire fucking division. It just blows my mind. But yeah, smashing the fucking over on this. I think that they're 11-12 wins.
Jake?
Yeah, I got over.
So you have 2 playoff teams as well, but you have Rams, Niners.
Correct.
Who do you have winning the division?
I don't know yet. When I have to do projections.
That's in September, late August, early September when we do our standings question right there. No, that's the Niners. But let's jump to that first question that we were just talking about. Who would you rather have this season, Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay?
Sean McVay. Just because the offense that he's been able to do, and he's proven that he can win the big game. Not saying Kyle Shanahan can't, but until he does.
Well, he can't yet until we see.
Yeah, until he does, I'm gonna have to go Sean McVay.
I'm with Sean McVay too. I just like him. I trust him to win the big games. Plus he's got I would say the better quarterback right now. So I mean that helps out quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on that, and I don't know if you're even gonna ask this question, but I hands down think that Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in this division. I think he's a future Hall of Famer, and I think that you have to trust Sean McVay in this situation when it comes to this division. Sean McVay has always consistently been a winner in the NFL, and he has one of the most talented rosters that he's had probably since his Super Bowl win, and maybe even before his Super Bowl wins. I think that this team is built for success, and I think that we're going to see them pushing those 11-12 wins and probably either second or third in the entire NFC.
I think Saleh will take pressure off Shanahan this year because he can focus so much on the defense, where Shanahan can go back to being focusedly on the offense. But I still trust Sean McVay this year. This is a 2025 question. I believe Sean McVay is in a better situation with the offense. Yeah, the defense could be better for the Niners, and that could happen. The Rams still, a little bit of unknown, but they have experience this year coming back for the season. But I just trust the boy wonder. I trust Sean McVay. I trust the receivers that he's going to be leading. Stafford, questionable Hall of Fame status at this moment. Yeah, he's got the Super Bowl ring. But outside that, it's a lot of unknowns if he's going to make it. I believe getting a second one guarantees him a spot. And I believe that McVay is going to get Stafford potential MVP this year. He at least gets his name in the ring or the running for that.
See, MVP. And I don't agree with that. When it comes to Stafford, I think that between Stafford and Eli Manning, and Eli Manning hasn't made it yet, but I do believe that when it comes to the two of those guys, I think that Stafford is more of a Hall of Fame candidate than Eli Manning was, and that's because of what he's been able to do during his career. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal. He was tanked down by a bad Detroit Lions team. He finally made it to the Rams and won a Super Bowl his first year. And I think that this team is going to put him in line for that. I don't necessarily think he has to win a Super Bowl this year to put him in the Hall of Fame consideration. I think he's already there.
I'll say Eli is top 11 in stats, and you can't tell the story of the NFL without talking about Eli Manning. And he's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
You can't tell the story because he beat Tom Brady twice. That's why.
It's not that. He stopped an undefeated team from
It's
being
the
undefeated.
David versus Goliath conversation, and that's the reason why he's in that conversation.
And here's the other conversation. He's got 2 MVPs in the Super Bowl. Stafford's got 0. Stafford didn't win the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, no, he did not. He did not win the Super Bowl.
Eli
MVP.
did.
You're
So
right.
that's big for Eli to have 2 Super Bowl, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it eventually. He might wait 2 more years because Drew Brees is getting in first ballot next year, and they're not going to put Eli in.
All right,
Drew
let me
Brees.
ask you this question: if Matt Stafford, like you just said, he's going to be in consideration for you think he's going to be in consideration for MVP? If he wins an MVP this year, does that put him over? If he wins an MVP and does not win a Super Bowl, does that put him in consideration for Hall of Fame?
I think if he gets one of the MVP or Super Bowl, he gets in. He needs another Super Bowl, or he's just an MVP.
Okay.
Jake, so who'd you rather have this year, Shanahan or McVay?
I don't know. To me, they're 1A and 1B. They're the same coach. They're gonna whoever they have, they're gonna make it work. Would I trust the Rams' offense more this year? Probably. I think Niners' defense is gonna be better than the Rams. But it's like 1A, 1B. I don't care who the quarterback is, Shanahan, McVay, they're going to make it work. But I'm pretty mad with Shanahan, so I'll take McVay right now.
Yeah. And last question for fantasy football for this season, would you rather have Kyren Williams or Christian McCaffrey? Because this is, to me, a very, very tough question.
For this year, I mean, I just feel like Kyren Williams because I feel like,
it's a tough one. I know it's tough. It's a tough question.
I would have a very hard time drafting Kyren Williams over Christian McCaffrey,
Correct.
though.
Correct.
I would have a very hard time to do that. Like, I would take every second on the clock to make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, I just think
I don't want to be the guy that passes on Christian McCaffrey either.
And he goes off.
And his ADP, I believe his ADP is like the middle of the second round, and Kyron's is like the end of the second, beginning of the third, and a lot of the sleepers, what I've seen. So it's like if
they're both going
there,
way earlier than that.
Yeah,
and I think so too. At least our league, because we're 5 of the 12 people, they're both going to be in
every league. They're going way earlier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. If we're going to talk about our leagues, then yeah, I understand your conversation. But when you look at the ADP numbers, consensus wise, you got in PPR, you got CMC going at 9, and you got Kyren Williams going at consensus 35 when it comes to PPR. If you're asking me, do I want CMC at 9 in the first round, or maybe even fringe second round, the beginning of the second round, compared to Kyren Williams in the third round, I'm probably going to lean on Kyren Williams because I think that he's going to be more consistent and he's going to stay healthy throughout the entire season. That question mark isn't there, so I can go wide receiver, double up wide receiver and then pick up Kyren Williams in the third, or I can look later into the drafts and not have to spend a draft pick on a guy that I don't know if he's going to be healthy. Is this that bounce back year? Is this that 1 year on, 1 year off type of situation for CMC? Probably, but at the same time, what happens if that does not happen? And that's what you have to bank on when you talk about fantasy.
So 2 Kyrens and 2 CMCs. I'm a little biased because I've had Kyren at least in Dynasty, and I've seen what he's done. I mean, yeah, Chris McCaffrey 2 years ago was, arguably could have been the NFL MVP. So that means his fantasy was very, very good that year. He was he's the best running back in football that year. And I do believe because if he is healthy, he's going to be the main focus point, and that could draw the question marks, like you said, Alan, injuries. With Kyren, I've already said it. A lot of it's going to be not stacked boxes. And if they do check down, okay, you have to check down to Kyren Williams. That's not a bad check down. He's going to get some catches this year. And I do believe he's going to have a lot of touchdowns at the goal line or, punch him in 5 yards in. And it's just going to be a lot of opportunities for him too, because they're not going to also just wear out Stafford. They're not just going to throw the ball. They are a pretty balanced team as of late. The last couple of years, it's been a Kyren Williams featuring Stafford in the passing attack. So I would go Kyren, but man, like Luke said, I'm going down to the last second. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm going to point. And whoever it lands on, that's probably who I'm going to pick.
No,
I would about
ninth pick and McCaffrey sitting there. There's no chance you're passing him.
You're the tiebreaker.
That's not true. No, I said Kyron. I said Kyron if you're asking me.
Okay.
But I would have a hard time making that decision. If I had the 9th pick, I don't believe I'm going either of those guys, to be honest. I don't think the board. I think there's going to be a lot better names that are going to fall number 9. I had 7 last year, and St. Brown fell to 7. I'd rather go with stud receiver at that position 9 if there is a chance I can get one and get a running back in the 2nd round.
Especially when you're talking about if you and like I said, if you can pick up Kyron Williams in the 3rd round, if you double up on wide receiver, at the beginning, you get like a St. Brown, and then take another wide receiver early 2nd, and then possibly try to get Kyron Williams in the 3rd round. Like that's not a bad situation to start.
Yeah, but he had 1,000 yards and like 14 touchdowns. He's not going in the 3rd round. Like,
yeah, and if you are in leagues, if you're listening that has Kyron Williams going in the 3rd round, please invite me. Please send me that link and let me join your league because I would be interested in playing with whoever you have in that league.
No.
Okay,
the top running backs are gone.
It does depend on the size of your league. So if we're talking about 10 team league, then 35. Yeah, no, 10 team league, 35 is in the 3rd round. But if you're talking about a 12 team league, then 36 is in your 3rd round.
The only way he's going in the 30s is if you're in a 2 QB league, you have a super flex. That's the only possibility I see him going in the 3rd round is because quarterbacks are going to go before anybody, and then you're going to then get your position players to start stacking up on that. Then that's where you would see him fall. But in a 1 QB league, he's not falling in the 3rd round. There's no way. Guys, great episode, though, man. I had fun tonight. Next week, NFC South. Chris, that's our division. So
yes, sir.
We're doing it for you. We're going to switch up. NFC's going to go. Yeah, it's the most competitive, huh? We got to come up with a new joke for that this year. It can't be the most competitive. We got to come up with a better.
But it is. It is the most competitive.
Internally, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be.
I'm going to push it to see if we can do this on Monday so I can be here for that.
The point, yeah, because I want to get Chris in there. I know that's the goal is to get Chris in there so we can talk the Falcon Killer and, Kellen Moore coming in and all the excitement from New Orleans. But that was the NFC West, boys. Jake, I'm glad you were able to make it tonight. We did this for you. We wanted to have you in here, man, and it's going to be a fun season. We're glad we got you to make a bet with Alan. No tattoo bet, no crazy bet, whatever. It's a straight up $100 bet. And I'm rooting for chaos this year every single week. So don't care who wins. I just want to see chaos between the two of you guys every single week now.
I'd like to see it come down to week 18.
Yeah, it's right there. It's a 9-win team. Week
9
18.
wins.
Alan's trusting Jalen Milroe and the Seattle Seahawks to get the job done. Jake's riding with Purdy and the hobbled wide receivers. Week 18. It'll be fun. But no. Yeah, Brock Purdy, congrats on his contract. That's Jake Winnicott. That's Alan Tomasello. That's Chris Gemeinhart, Luke Rule. I'm Mark Davis. This is All About the Balls podcast. Have a good one.
Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at the Sack House.